the Director of Admissions, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some things in general. I know some of you grabbed a view book on the way in, which is this thing. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things so that if you do grab one on your way out, you can just know where to look to use it as a resource while you're researching programs. This piece of information, every school has a view book, and really it's one of the best places to start in terms of researching programs because it puts all of our degree programs in one spot. It doesn't tell you everything that you need to know about every degree program, but it gives you a little overview of everything, and so it's a really nice place to start. So the way the view book is designed is the beginning part of the view book is the descriptions of each of the degree programs, and then as you go through, you read more about services and about residents and about athletics and things like that. But my favorite part of the view book, and I'm allowed to have a favorite part of the view book, is the chart at the back. And so you'll recognize this because it's the only rainbow colored random thing with like teeny tiny writing that you will see in the view book. What this does is it lays out all of the degree programs literally in one table. And so it allows you to see everything that we offer and the prerequisites that are required for the program, and just in one spot. And so what that helps you do is kind of, now the view books are starting to be passed around. It allows you to sort of start narrowing down your choices. And sometimes I talk to students and I say, you know, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. And so usually the first question is that I try to get people to answer is kind of like, are you more of a science and math person, or are you more of an arts and social science kind of person? Sometimes I still get an I don't know after if I say, and that's fine. But you know, if you can at least distinguish between those two things, usually you can look at that table and you can say, okay, here are the programs that require math, physics, chemistry, biology. I'm either really super interested in those or I'm really totally not interested in those. And then sort of narrow down your choices that way. So, you know, my recommendation when people are applying and looking at programs is to do the research. And, you know, usually I have to be honest, I was Assistant Director of Admissions for 12 years. And I've been director for a much shorter period of time, but in that entire time I've worked with like zillions of homeschool students. And in general, doing the research is not one of the problems that I run into with homeschool students. Usually doing the research is like already done before they come and see me, so that's usually not a problem. But start and do the research because it's the only way you're going to be able to start narrowing things down. Once you start narrowing things down, then my next piece of advice is get on campus. Get on campus, take a tour, participate in a March break program, see what the labs look like, talk to a professor, see what the lecture halls look like, walk around, look around, and ask yourself, can I see myself here? Can I picture myself here? And I think, you know, when the former student and the current student start talking, they'll talk a lot about fit. At least I assume you will, maybe you won't, maybe you're not going to talk about that at all. But, you know, one of the things that you know, is so important when students are trying to choose a university is that fit and is that feeling. The first piece I have to say is program. That's the first decision. Does this university have the program that I want? But once you've answered that question, the next piece is, do I see myself here? Can I picture myself here? Do I feel like I'm going to be able to excel here? Do I feel like I'm going to be able to grow here? That's really the next things that you're looking for. When you start looking through the view book, I'll say, you know, I just said program is the most important thing, and it is. But look for the other pieces too, because your university experience isn't just about your program, not even close. It's about so many other things and all of the other things that you'll participate in. And so we have a lot of different ways for students to get engaged, to get involved in things that interest them. And that can be anything from, you know, our over 200 clubs and societies to a varsity sport, to our alternative spring break where teams of students go to different places around the world and engage in sort of humanitarian activity for their entire spring break. That can be the way that you get involved. You can be involved by getting involved with a whole bunch of different organizations on campus. There's so many different ways. But what they do is they create a world and a situation where you're not just studying. You don't just come to university, study, go home, do your thing. You're creating a world of sort of integrated learning for yourself where you're participating in different activities and things that interest you, and you're taking that learning that you have outside of the classroom and you're combining it with the things that you're learning inside the classroom. We try to do that. We try to do that in a formal way, whether it's through internships or practicums, whether it's through a co-op placement or something like that alternative spring break that I was just talking about. But students do it themselves as well. They integrate their learning with with things that are interesting to them by getting involved on campus. And so that's something that I'd really encourage you to pay attention to. And on that idea of sort of getting involved or getting integrated in campus, I'll throw out a weird idea. You can hate it. Love it for 5 seconds, and then you can hate it after. So one of the things that Carleton allows is we allow students who live in the Ottawa area to live in residence. Some universities don't allow that. If you live in the city that the school is in, you can't apply to live in residence. We do. And some of our domestic students who live in Ottawa apply to live in residence, and they come and they live in residence because they want that sort of fully immersive university experience, but they don't necessarily want to leave the city. They like Carleton, they like Ottawa, they found a program that they love, maybe a program that we have that no one else offers, but they still want that immersive experience. So another way to get a completely immersive experience or to have an integrated learning experience is to live in residence. So love it for 5 seconds, then you can start hating it. Or maybe you just love it, period. I don't know. So it's something to think about. So as you're going through your research and as you're looking for things, just remember that all of those things are available to you. When you look at the chart, what you'll see is that Carleton has a wide range of degree programs, and so I'll just mention that we are what's considered a mid-sized university. So we're like about 30,000 students. That's everybody included, full-time, part-time, graduate, undergraduate. So that makes us a mid-sized university. What that means is, it means that we're sort of big enough that if you change your major or change your mind, we probably have a degree program for you to change your major or change your mind with. So we're not so small that we don't have engineering or something like that. In fact, our engineering school is one of the biggest programs that we have. So there are a lot of different options and a lot of things that you can change your major, change your choice, change your program, move around to, and that gives you a lot of options. But we are not so big that you get lost. And I'll leave that to the student, current student, former student to sort of talk about, but my experience of Carleton is that it really is still sort of a very family feel, a very intimate feel. So our largest lecture theater is roughly like 450, 500 seats. And so that'll be the biggest class that a student has. In what's considered sort of a large university, like a Western or a University of Toronto or something like that, their largest lecture theaters are 1,500. So that just gives you a sense of sort of scale of what a large university would look like in comparison to a medium university like ours. A small university, of course, much smaller than us. So a place like Trent or Brock or Nipissing, much smaller, really easy to integrate because the classes are so much smaller, but then you lose that choice. So a place like Nipissing, does not have engineering, so on and so forth. So it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of what you're interested in and what you're sort of looking for as a student and what you're looking at when you're looking at your programs. So does that make sense? So that's literally the fastest and roughest overview of Carleton